Hey, welcome back to Bryce Unplugged. Just back from the WPC in Arizona. I had a great time. A little tired, but a great time. And so much information, so much information. But I really learned something this week, and I want to share that with you today. And it's not what you think it is. It's really not what you think it is. Because honestly, I'm not saying I learned anything at the WPC. Now, it was great. The World Parkinson Congress was great. Great time. Got to hang out with Brian and his wife, and we had a great time. Met so many of you. And if I met you out there, I was just so glad to do that. And that's the part I love the most. But at the same time that I was at the World Parkinson Conference in Arizona, was also had 2 episodes come out on the channel. Okay. And what I learned this week, it's just incredible. What I learned this week is this. Sometimes people with Parkinson's don't need more information. We need a better language. The response to this week's episodes honestly surprised me. The video about trying to explain Parkinson's to family and friends has taken off. Thousands of you have watched it already, hundreds of comments, and so many of the comments weren't really about the symptoms. They were about being understood. And that got me thinking. Maybe one of the hardest parts of Parkinson's isn't the stiffness. Maybe it isn't the tremor. Maybe it isn't even the fatigue, although that stings. But maybe one of the hardest parts of it is trying to explain something to someone who's never experienced it. How do you explain something that doesn't show up on an x-ray? How do you explain something that changes every hour? How do you explain something that even doctors sometimes struggle to explain? I saw comment after comment from people saying things like, my family doesn't get it. My spouse tries but doesn't understand. My friends think I'm fine. And I think every one of us has felt that at some point, haven't we? If you have, put me too in the comments. Because Parkinson's is one of the weirdest diseases on the planet. You've heard me say that before. You can look completely normal, and then 10 minutes later, struggle to get out of a chair. You can be smiling while feeling absolutely exhausted. You can be standing in front of someone while your brain feels like it just disconnected from the internet. And people don't see any of that. They only see what's happening on the outside. One of the comments that really stuck with me this week, it was from somebody who said that their family thought they were lazy. Now let's just think about that just for a second. Lazy. Not tired, not sick, not struggling, but lazy. And that's what happens when people don't understand Parkinson's fatigue. Because fatigue is probably one of the most misunderstood symptoms to deal with. Everybody thinks they know what tired feels like. Okay? We've all been tired. Everybody's been tired. We've all stayed up too late. We've all had bad sleeps. But Parkinson's fatigue isn't tired. It's something different. It's like our batteries didn't charge overnight. It's like your body and your brain are both running at like 12%. It's like you're trying to walk through wet cement all day long. And I think that's why so many people connected with the battery analogy in the video. Because it finally gave them a language. They could point to it and say, that's it. That's exactly what that feels like. And that's powerful. Because when you can explain it, people have a better chance of understanding it. Now, are they always going to understand? No. Let's be honest. Some people aren't going to get it ever. Right? Some people, they're just never going to get it, even if they try. And that can be frustrating. But sometimes we spend so much of our energy trying to convince people that we forget something really important. I want you to hear this. You don't need everyone to understand. You just need a few people who are willing to believe you. And those are 2 different things. And I think that's why the line from the episode hit so many people. Please don't try to understand it, just believe me. That's it. That's the whole sentence I use. Because nobody can truly understand what it's like to be inside your body. But they can believe you when you tell them what you're experiencing. And that's enough. Now let's switch gears just for a minute and let's talk about the medication clock video. Because wow, the comments on that one were something else, right? And you know what's funny? People without Parkinson's think medication is simple. You take a pill and you move on with your day. Done. Well, people with Parkinson's know that's not how it works at all. It's more like an air traffic control, right? You're constantly calculating. When was my last dose? When's my next dose? Can I eat? What am I eating? Right? How much protein's in this, what I'm eating? And I'm going out after, what's going on? Do I need to take extra medication? What time are we leaving? What time are we getting back? It's like running a tiny pharmacy in your pocket. Now, I laughed reading some of the comments because everyone has their own survival system, right? And it was awesome. Phone alarms, watch alarms, pill boxes, backup pill bottles, right? Emergency pills in the car, emergency pills in the purse, emergency pills in the backpack, all right? Emergency pills hidden in places where we forgot where we hid them. I guarantee there are people watching this right now who have found a bottle of levodopa in a jacket pocket from 2 years ago. I know I have. Me too. And you know who you are. But underneath the humor is a real truth. Managing Parkinson's takes work, a lot of work that most people never see. And that's another invisible part of this disease. People see us take the pill. They don't see the planning behind it. They don't see the stress when we're running late. They don't see the panic when we realize that we forgot our medication at home. And they don't see the mental math that's happening all day long. And maybe that's another thing that we need to get better at explaining. And not because we're looking for sympathy, but because we're looking for understanding. Because this isn't just a disease of movement. It's a disease of management. And you have to manage it every single day. Now, one of the questions that came up a lot was coffee. Can I take my medication with coffee? And honestly, this is one of those questions where everyone's experience can be a little different. For some people, it works fine. For some people, it doesn't. It's definitely something worth discussing with your healthcare team if you're noticing any issues with it. But what I've always encouraged people to do is pay attention to your body, because Parkinson's doesn't read the textbook, right? What works perfectly for one person may not work for another person. And that's why tracking is so valuable. And speaking of tracking, several people asked about my tracker. And maybe that's something I should spend more time talking about. Because tracking isn't about becoming obsessed with your Parkinson's at all. But it's about becoming a detective, okay? All you're doing is you're looking for clues. You're looking for patterns. You're looking for connections, things that you would otherwise miss. And sometimes those clues can completely change how you manage your symptoms. Now, before I wrap up today, I want to come back to where we started. This week's videos weren't about explaining Parkinson's. Understand that. They were about connection. Every comment I read reminded me that people aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for somebody who understands. Someone who can put words around the experiences that we've been struggling to explain. Someone who can make them feel a little less alone. And that's what this community does better than anything else I've seen. Every single day I see people helping each other in the comments, sharing tips, sharing encouragement, and sharing their stories. And every time that happens, somebody sitting at home realizes that they're not the only one. That's really powerful. So here's my question for you this week. What is the hardest thing for you to explain about Parkinson's? Is it the fatigue, the brain fog, the medication timing, the anxiety, the masking, the off times? What is the one thing that you wish people understood? Drop it in the comments, because I have a feeling that the comments section on this video is going to help somebody feel understood too. Now, before I give you your Bryce-ism, I didn't answer the question about coffee, did I? Well, here is an answer for that. I drink my coffee in the morning, regardless of when I take my pills. I take my pills with water. I take my pills with coffee. I take my pills with beer. I take my pills with whatever it is that I'm drinking at the time. I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's water, right? But I take it with whatever I have in front of me. And that's the honest truth. And I think I've said this before, but I do not time my medication around my meals. I eat when I eat and I drink when I drink. And then I manage my pills around that. I think sometimes we're going to get too hung up on, when we ate last night, when we're eating again, when we're drinking, what we're drinking, how much water we've had to consume. Honestly, with the time that I have and the time when I'm feeling good, I don't want to waste it. Just waste it trying to figure everything out. It's sort of going with the flow a little bit. And the worst thing that's going to happen is, you know what? Maybe I rush through my levodopa. Maybe my levodopa gets eaten up quicker than other times, and that's okay. When I start to feel those off times come on, I'll take my pill sooner. Pretty simple. It's not hard. I think we're going to try to overcomplicate it a little bit. Trackers are great. Don't get me wrong. I love my trackers because it had to get a baseline for myself to understand when I was going off and when I was going on and when my pills were kicking in and when they were kicking out. But I've gotten so good at it in 15 years now, I can tell when they're kicking out. I can almost tell you when when I'm going off and what I need to do. And I adjust that way. I don't adjust my meals or my fluids around my pills. That's just me. All right. Everybody's different. You got to do what's good for you. All I need to tell you is that if you take too much, you're going to get a little bit wonky, right? And if you take too little, it's not going to do anything. So find your groove and talk to your doctor about it. Okay. That's just me to you. All right. And now before I go, here is today's Bryce-ism. Sometimes the greatest gift that we can give somebody with Parkinson's is an understanding. It's believing them when they tell us what they're living through. Pretty simple, right? But it's the truth. All right. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you so much for commenting. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for getting involved. And thank you for being you. This is a disease that nobody wanted. You joined a club that nobody wants to join, but you're here. Thank you for living it. Thank you for being brave through it. And thank you for trying to learn more. I appreciate you being part of my journey, and I appreciate you letting me into your journey. And it's going to be a great week on the channel. Really is. We have some amazing, amazing episodes coming up. Can't wait to see you this week on Tuesday. And until then, you know what you're doing. I want to keep showing up. I want you to keep being real. And I want you to keep doing life today. I love you. See you next time.